Do you have a hard time getting students to take their eyes away from the phones and pay attention to class? Do you agree that smartphones and social media are a teacher's worst enemy? Well, maybe it's time to keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I'm Rubens Heredia, one of your Pavilion EOT vloggers, and in this video I want to share with you 5 ways in which social media can be helpful to teachers, both inside and outside the classroom. So come with me. Social media is everywhere, and everyone's affected by it in one way or another. The jury is still out on whether it helps or hinders society, but there's no trying to run away from it. We teachers can take advantage of what social media brings to the table to make our lessons more relevant, engaging, and effective. In fact, social media can even help us find the tools we need to become better teachers. So let's cut to the chase. Tip number 1. Ask your students about their social media use. Depending on your student's profile, it might be the case that a lot of the content they consume, in English or otherwise, reaches them through social media. The more you know about what makes your students tick, the more you can design lessons that are relevant to them. Brown includes meaningful learning as one of his teaching principles, and here's some advice by him. Capitalize on the power of meaningful learning by appealing to students' interests, academic goals, and career goals. Whenever a new topic or concept is introduced, attempt to anchor it in students' existing knowledge and background so that it becomes associated with something they already know. Our social media habits and choices do say a lot about ourselves, so much so that companies are willing to pay a lot for our social media data. Including information on social media in your needs assessment can help you better understand who your student is and what you can do as a teacher to make their learning more meaningful. Using the types of text and video that students naturally gravitate towards in our lessons can certainly boost engagement levels. Tip number 2. Propose projects inspired by and using social media. I've mentioned project-based learning or project-inspired lessons and activities quite a few times in my videos already. It seems like projects basically fit every topic I talk about. In project-based learning, students typically get involved in the preparation and presentation of a project over a period longer than a lesson. This means that students have enough time for more in-depth research and development of their project. Let's look at a practical example. Say your students are really into TikTok, for example. You can have as a project to create a TikTok video, and then divide the work in 3 phases: research, planning, and presentation. In the research phase, students will share the posts they consider successful with the group, identify the different genres and their characteristics, and then in the planning stage, they work in groups to decide what type of post to make, brainstorm ideas for content, create an outline or first draft, get feedback on their ideas, and improve on the work and reach a final product. And in the presentation stage, they share the content with their teachers and peers, explain to the group the rationale of their project, and even post it on social media. What I like the most about this idea is that it is just a basic framework that can be easily adapted to any social media depending on your student's profile. From LinkedIn to Instagram, and even to the next social media fad, whatever it is. Tip number 3. Develop students' critical thinking. It is undeniable that social media has been playing a big role in social changes and movements ever since it came about. And for good or bad, that's where a lot of people get their news and information. The COVID pandemic, however, is a great example of how dangerous misinformation, conspiracies, and anti-science rhetoric can be, and how easy it is for us to be manipulated through social media. The need to help our students develop critical thinking is more pressing than ever. And critical thinking has been a buzzword in EOT for a while. Incorporating it into our lessons has a series of benefits. According to John Hughes, some of the benefits are: it develops a critical mindset and reflects the skill that the students will need in their future studies and work. It introduces more authentic and motivating language tasks. It develops deeper reading and listening skills and extends the stages of a traditionally planned lesson. It guides the students to a more natural discovery of the language and how it can be used effectively. Introducing activities that involve critical thinking doesn't have to be complicated. Diana Balduco shared a number of simple, straightforward ideas in an article for Modern English Teacher called An A to Z of Critical Thinking Activities. I'll include the link in the description below. Tip number 4, use digital tools that resemble social media. If you don't want to or you're not allowed to use social media in lessons, you can still benefit from the type of interaction that makes them special. Learning tools like Google Classroom, Edmodo, Padlet, etc. draw on elements that are typical of social media, like ease of access, opportunities to share, communicate, react to others' ideas and contributions, and etc. The fact that you, as a teacher, have more control over who can join and who can access what information means that some of the more thorny issues related to privacy, cyberbullies, among others, can be prevented. But careful monitoring is key, especially when dealing with younger students. Tip number 5, use it for networking and to seek professional development. I've already talked about how social media can help us reduce lesson preparation time in a previous video, and we'll include the link below. But there are many other ways in which social media can help us in our professional development. Starting with this. There is a lot of content aimed at teachers on social media channels and pages, such as the Pavilion ELT Facebook page and YouTube channel, and my channels with What is ELT. One of the greatest benefits of social media to me, however, is the sense of community it can provide us with, and the networking possibilities. Besides the most obvious LinkedIn, there are lots of Facebook groups by teachers and for teachers, and our international teaching community is also very active on Twitter. Just follow hashtags like #ELT and #ELTchat, and you'll find lots of interesting content for English teachers and opportunities to connect with brilliant people from all over the world. I don't know about you, but when it comes to work, one of the hardest things for me in the last year has been the reduced contact with peers. So I want to leave you with some food for thought by Steve Talk in an article from the latest issue of Modern English Teacher. A good community group can bring enthusiasm and energy to a lockdown world. It can engage with people and inspire them. It can bring people together and pull us all towards the light at the end of the tunnel. If a community group can do all this and add in some professional development too, then that has to be good for business, doesn't it? I hope these tips were helpful to you. And since we're talking about social media, why not join me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at What is ELT? Keep experimenting and keep teaching.